Hi everyone, it's Siddharth here coming to you with another video. And today's topic is how to align your values with entrepreneurship. So, this is quite an interesting topic that I've come across over the years. And I want to start off firstly by speaking about my story because this is one of the fundamental aspects that I really struggled with when I initially was looking at ways to start some form of entrepreneurship or some kind of business that I was looking to start. And one of the things I found was when I was exploring ideas to start some form of business or to get into some form of entrepreneurship, like I focused a lot on online entrepreneurship, I realized that one of the biggest aspects is to understand, firstly, what are my values as a person and how do those relate to the specific business that I'm doing. So, why is that really critical? Well, the reason is that, if, say, for instance, you're a person that, really enjoys, fashion, you have values that are attributed to the fashion business, you are most likely to do well in a business that relates to fashion. Whereas if you're a person that really is not into, for instance, speaking to people, you don't want to get on the phone, so perhaps you've got a business or some form of entrepreneurship where it actually requires you to, actually get on the phone, start speaking to people. The chances are that if you have a business that you think is going to give you a lot of money but actually requires you to get on the phone, then you probably are not going to do really well in that business. So this is something that I found that when I started looking at certain online businesses or different forms of entrepreneurship using online systems, there were some systems that I found that I could really relate to because, firstly, they allowed me to interact with people, through either video or through, some form of audio where I could actually give a message. And those kinds of businesses are the businesses that I could really relate to. Whereas there were other businesses that, even though they were, sort of giving me a lot of potential to perhaps start earning some really good money, or, they were helping me to achieve a certain level of income, I kind of felt that in the longer term that I wouldn't be able to do those kinds of businesses because they were not really aligning with my kind of values that related to the kind of entrepreneurship that I wanted to get involved in, which is why it's really critical, as I've mentioned the title here, of how you need to align your values to entrepreneurship or even any form of business. And I'd even go as far as saying to some of the goals that you're looking to achieve in your life as well. So, how exactly can you go about, taking steps that firstly will allow you to identify the values that obviously you sort of relate to, and how those values actually can then go back to a specific type of business or entrepreneurship that you're trying to relate those values to. So the first step I would say is firstly, identifying your values. And the easiest way to identify your values is obviously to see what values actually give you a lot of joy, what kind of values give you a lot of bliss. So if you note these down, you could even observe moments in your life, perhaps, whether it's through your work, if you were a person that was working in a job, or, some kind of activity that's given you a lot of joy. From that, you can kind of see actually, these are some of the values that I can really use well in a form of entrepreneurship or some kind of business that perhaps that you're looking to start. That is the process that I took initially. So I started noting down the different areas where I was finding a lot of resonance, a lot of bliss, a lot of joy. But I would also add to that is you can also look at moments where you felt perhaps that there were moments that you were really struggling, and it was because of certain aspects that you identified that made you struggle. So, to give you an example, if you find you're a kind of person that really doesn't like to sort of go through the hustle kind of momentum, where you kind of feel like you really have to strive hard, you have to spend a lot of hours pushing for things, that's a kind of business that you obviously don't want to get into because what you'll find is if you do find a business, perhaps you identified a business that you think is going to earn you a lot of money, but you find in the initial steps you really are struggling. You are sort of pushing hard, you're spending a lot of hours, you find that you're getting drained. that itself actually is an indication that it's not really aligning with your value, because your value is not about rushing through something or pushing through something. So to give you an example, one of my values is being able to do things in a whim, where I can actually do it at the spur of the moment. I don't like things sometimes being planned, even though generally in my life I like being planned as a person. I've found that when it comes to any form of entrepreneurship, even my online businesses, the times when I've really sort of pushed and I've tried to plan things, or I've like really sort of made a real structure to it, I often found I didn't have that motivation to push myself and really start achieving some of the objectives for that specific form of entrepreneurship or businesses that I was looking into. So it's really critical from that aspect to understand that, knowing your values really deeply, understanding what kind of businesses you can explore. So if you're thinking of a specific business that you want to start, or you're dabbling into the idea of getting into some form of entrepreneurship, it's really critical to understand, what makes you tick as a person, what gives you the greatest joy, what gives you bliss. And also, I would go as far as saying it's not just those aspects, but also understanding the aspects of what actually gives you a lot of sort of, let's say, fear, what gives you that aspect that you feel you're going to be drained, that if you keep doing a specific type of process, then obviously that is going to create a lot of drainage for you in terms of you being able to achieve something for that specific business. Now, there's various kinds of tools that you can use, and I wanted to recommend a specific tool because as much as you can go through this on your own, sometimes it does help having tools. And there's some tools where if you search online, you can find obviously your personality-based tests, which basically just tell you more about you as a person, which is a little different to you in terms of your values, because your values also can be derived from your experience as a person. And that's relevant because you would have perhaps seen, if, like, let's say you're a full-time worker and you've seen areas where you feel that you really enjoy something and you don't enjoy other things. That's also based on processes, functions, which actually goes back deeply into you as a person in terms of your values. So doing a personality test is great and giving you information about your personality itself. But what I realized is it's actually inherently you as a person subconsciously, which actually derives how you move forward in your actions, and obviously what makes you move forward with momentum in a specific type of business or a form of entrepreneurship. So one of the tools I found, which was also recommended to me by one of my close friends, was a website called GeneKeys. Now, I'll put the link here below, but you can actually create a free profile, and there is also an option for you to actually buy through a full course. I don't get any benefit from it if you actually buy through and go ahead with it, but I found it was quite a useful tool because it actually helped me understand, firstly, what is my inherent purpose as a person here, in terms of my life. And obviously it's based on certain aspects that you show in the report, but it also tells me what is the kind of path that I need to follow. And that helps me because then it tells me that when I start exploring ideas in terms of entrepreneurship, or I start exploring ideas around business, I can kind of have a roadmap or a guidance in terms of the kind of journey that I need to take, and the sort of values that I need to look into that match specifically with the type of business or entrepreneurship that I'm looking to obviously go forward with. And that's the reason why whatever I do in any form of business that I basically look into, those are some of the things that I look into. So if you click on the link below where it actually gives you the option to create a free profile, you'll be able to understand a lot better by looking through some of the resources that are provided on the GeneKeys website. And I really suggest that you actually have a look at that if you are looking into the idea of starting some form of entrepreneurship or business, because I really think it'll give you good guidance and it'll help you understand how exactly you can obviously align your values with entrepreneurship. So I really hope that video was really useful to you. I'd love to hear your comments about it and perhaps even share your experiences, because I also believe sharing your experiences as a person will help other people as well, especially in this sort of line where it comes to understanding, what really matters to you in terms of your values. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel as yet, please click on the subscribe link on the bottom of this video and you'll get to see a lot more videos from me. I'll see you in another video. Take care. Bye.